God forgive them,
God,
for they do
forgive
not
them,
know what they are
for they do
doing.
not know what they are doing.
God,
Forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing.
God forgive them, for
God,
they do not know
forgive
what they are
them,
doing.
for they do not know what they are doing.
This is the end, but for me, the beginning of life. Good evening, friends. Tonight we make space in our lives for the story of Good Friday to wash over us, to participate in the moment with Jesus, the disciples, and all those who had found healing in his life, and even those who had only seen challenge in his words. This Good Friday, we remain closed up in our homes, much like the disciples did that weekend following Jesus' death. In fear, they drew close to one another so that they might center in the hope that they would find some of his humanity left among their memories. So this Good Friday, we do the same. We seek the human in our Savior. We seek forgiveness for ourselves, for the world, for all of the ways we have forgotten to seek the vision of beloved family that Jesus walked during his journey in this life. While Jesus was one of us, he came to know all of our faults, all of our shortcomings, all the places of broken relationship that keep us from finding a full unity with God. So this year, we make that space to find the human from all of the places in which we gather and all of the places in which we sit alone tonight. We will seek a way forward. We will seek forgiveness. And we will find a way to reflect and see the world as a holy place, even if just for this moment. So tonight I invite you into this video devotional, this service of remembrance through the last 7 sayings of Jesus' life. Through these words might we reflect on the journey he walked, and on the journeys that we walk to this day, the places that we need healing, the places where we need a family to stand with us. So we will hear those words from our community as well as from theologians, from poets, from authors, and we will center our hearts in song and prayer this night. So engage with it now or return to it later to make a place for peace in your life. Though we will celebrate Easter this coming Sunday, we do so from our own homes, waiting for that true resurrection and companionship that we know will enter our lives at a later date. Our community will be renewed. Our lives will flower and grow in new ways. But first, we live wholly and fully into today, accepting the end that is here in Good Friday, and being truly present to that feeling of grief we know too well. We find solace in the ways the disciples and those throughout the ages have settled into their human lives to contemplate the death of the Son, the one who came to share abundant life with us, that we might glimpse the love God offers.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there
Truly, I tell you, today you will be with me in
Truly, I
paradise.
tell you, today you will be with
Truly,
me
I
in
tell you,
paradise.
today you will be with
Truly,
me
I
in
tell you,
paradise.
today you will be with me in paradise.
Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Act justly now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. Jesus tells the man who hangs beside him that today he will be with him in paradise. Where might that paradise be in all the pain and suffering he has yet to endure? He remains here with Jesus in pain and torment. He is to be with him in paradise today? How can he when he will live longer than Jesus himself? And for that matter, where could paradise be in the middle of the frustration and the fear we live in? What does paradise mean truly? If paradise is to be the release after death, we have no work here to do on earth, no call to care for the people with which we live. But if what Jesus meant was to create a paradise in ourselves, to be at peace and find companionship with others in this life now, in this experience now, we can find and live in paradise today. This is a paradise we can cling to in our moments of concern. If we have the faith to stand up for what is right, even in the moments of hardship and death, we can be in paradise. It is not ours to fix the whole world. It is ours to find the paradise of self that the world needs right now. The compassion from the cross that the man showed Jesus. Can we honor those who suffer along with us with compassion? This we ask this night.
Here is your son. Here is your mother. Here is your
Here
mother.
is your
Your
son.
son.
Here is your mother.
is your mother.
We have a choice. We can embrace our humanness, which means embracing our broken natures and the compassion that remains our best hope for healing. Or we can deny our brokenness, forswear compassion, and as a result, deny our humanity. Was it just a request of a dying man for his beloved mother to be cared for? Or was it more? When Jesus speaks to this disciple and tells him to care for his mother, he puts the burden of continuing to care for community upon each of us. He is calling the community to see their children, their parents, as family, not just neighbors. The saying goes that good fences make good neighbors, that distance is what is needed to maintain easy relationship. But this is not what Jesus is calling us to do. He is telling us from his place of death that we have an obligation to care. We have an obligation to see the suffering of another and be moved. As a mother is moved for the suffering of their child, we must be moved and changed by seeing and responding to the brokenness of another. Jesus is ensuring the movement he has begun will continue on as a family of God in his absence, not as a neighborhood of laws and structures, but a connected web in need of support.
My God,
My God, my God, why have you forsaken me?
My God, my
why
God,
have you forsaken
why have
me?
you forsaken me?
Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble.
Our tendency in the midst of suffering is to turn on God, to get angry and bitter and shake our fist at the sky and say, God, you don't know what it's like. You don't understand. You have no idea what I'm going through. You don't have a clue how much this hurts. The cross is God's way of taking away all of our accusations, excuses, and arguments. The cross is God taking on flesh and blood and saying, me too. When we feel at our lowest, where do we go? How alone do we feel? How can we allow ourselves to dwell in that space and then in the next breath to move forward? Forsaken. Forsaken, he says, not just alone, deserted, abandoned, the pain of loneliness as a well from which we can see no way out. In some of his last words of pain, Jesus enters a space of despair. This is the dark night of the soul. And as he stands in that moment when we can no longer hold the world's grief, when he can no longer stand the loneliness, he calls out. When Jesus commanded the disciple to care for his mother, he made a plan. He set them on a path, and here he is in this well in need of his own plan forward. He must take on his own path and speak the call for assistance, for God to throw down the rope into that hole, that well he is in, and help him climb out. In our obligation to care for others, we also have an obligation to care for ourselves, to reach out for another, to hold our brokenness. Sometimes, if only for a moment. We address our need to God. We cry out in our hearts, why am I forsaken? And into that cry, we can remember when we're ready to seek God in community to care for us. For it is not upon only ourselves that we can take that moment. It is into the care of our family.
I am thirsty.
I am thirsty.
I am thirsty.
I am thirsty.
in the tomb. Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb?
It is finished.
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 It is finished.